this monster transfer window has finally shut its jaws shut on the 7 o'clock deadline on the 1st of September. It's time for us to tell you the 5 best and worst transfers, in our opinion, of course, that have shaped this historic window. Without further ado, let's get into it, Jamie. So, starting with the best, of course, I think I speak for both of us here when I say there's been some exceptional deals right across the board. So,
Yeah,
let me
for sure.
discuss
It's been a good
our
window.
incredible. So let me go ahead and tell you my 5 picks of this window. It was difficult to do the best, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me go through these. So in first place, I'm going.
Are you doing it in order? Is it just in any order?
No, I didn't rank them. I've just picked 5 that I think are,
Okay, yeah, because that's what I did.
worthy.
That's what I did.
Yeah, 100%. It'd be a very difficult process to whittle these down, but yeah. So my 5 picks. Selfishly, I'm going to go for Joao Pedro. I think you can't really argue with the impact he's made already. Obviously, for Chelsea, in a bit of a unique situation, helped us in the Club World Cup straight away, and of course, we went on to win it. And he's hit the ground running for us in the Premier League as well. So easy pick at 55 million. To be honest, could be a bargain. So Joao Pedro as my first. Isak, let's get the obvious one out of the way. I think
Yeah, he's got to be in there, hasn't he? To be fair.
it's one of those. I'm sure you'll have got him in there as well, and anybody listening the same.
Well, who knows?
Undoubted.
Maybe I don't.
Maybe
I don't.
I mean, if you haven't got him in your top 5, you don't know ball. I'll be honest.
We'll see, won't we?
But yeah, so Isak in there. I think 23 goals last year, I believe it was. Second best striker in the Prem, in my opinion. Whenever you get a player like that moving, it's always big news. So for that reason, can't really argue with it. And again, although it was a record fee, I think he'll justify that price tag. And then finally, to round off my top 5, I've gone for Gyökeres. Now, I know he hasn't hit the ground running per se, although he has got 2 goals in the game against Leeds. But I just think for Arsenal, we've spoken about it for so long, it's not just one of those things that people are repeated. They really have been in need of a striker. And I believe that Gyökeres could I think he's got the quality to fill that void. So it's going to be difficult not to put him in there for myself. And rounding it out with perhaps 2 unlikely picks, I've gone for Joao Palhinha for Spurs.
Okay. He was on. I did have a short list that he was on. So I kind of made a 15 long shortlist or whatever it was, and then wheeled it down to 5. But he was on it initially.
Yeah. I think for some it will come as left field, but for people that are Spurs fans and people that have watched him in general, the guy's just a perfect number 6. Like, breaks up the play. He's not lost that in his game since going over to Bayern, and he seems to have come back and slotted straight back in. So I think he'll prove crucial.
I think it's one of them as well where you kind of have to think about his importance to the team rather than just the kind of the fee involved and the history of him as a player playing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think for Spurs, like, their midfield perhaps was a little weak point in their team at times last year. You'd expect Bissouma and the other cohort there to have done a better job for the talent that's to be fair is in that midfield, but could be the potential to unlock that midfield and allow some of the other players to do more up the pitch. Just with the way he is and how his game is suited for that team. So, and again, picking him up on a loan, it just adds to the overall value of the sign-in for me. So yeah, Joao Palhinha, let's watch that space there. And finally, I've actually, I wasn't sure about this, but I've gone for Matheus Cunha, United. And the reason being for this one, purely,
list here, which I like.
For United, you know what? They need characters. They need players that are willing to come in and have the quality to get moving straight away. And this was signed very early, and I remember thinking straight away, like, what a start to the window.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think him over Mbeumo, though?
Yeah. I think for me, whilst Mbeumo's good, I think Cunha's proven to me that is a bit more of a player.
I feel like Mbeumo might be the better of the 2 signings, I'll be honest.
Also, Mbeumo was a bit more expensive. And so I just think value-wise, Cunha could just be equally as good, maybe goals and assists-wise, but slightly cheaper, and I think potentially a bit more of a leader as well.
Yeah, I can't argue with that logic, I suppose.
Yeah, although he hasn't smashed it straight away, I'd fully expect Cunha to really bed into that team nicely and contribute with goals and assists, which is obviously what they bought him for. So
yeah,
that's my top 5. Go on, Jamie, surprise me.
So we have 2 of the same and then 3 different. So I have obviously got Isak in my list.
Of course,
I can't really exclude him. I was going to have both him and Florian Wirtz, but to be honest, the reason I didn't put Wirtz in is just because he hasn't had the best start to the season. So it was kind of hard to put him in over a couple of the names that I have got on here. And I will say I've taken a lot of kind of the context of each team into the decisions that I've made. So I'm not necessarily just gone for the best 5 players, but the best 5 players for the team that they've
yeah, of course, yeah. They're not coming into a vacuum, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. So I also have João Pedro. Speaks for itself. Got off to a great start, especially the Club World Cup. So he kind of speaks for himself there, and I think he's got to be in there. Next, I've gone for Jack Grealish. I think, yeah, as I was saying, the importance to the team, but also the start he's got off to kind of shows that he's going to bring his normal his normal self back to the Premier League, which is, obviously we're all keen to see that because the best version of Jack Grealish is a very good player.
And you don't see many of his type either. He's a flair type of guy, someone that
exactly.
Again,
back at his Aston Villa days, he was a very, very fun player to watch.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping. I mean, he showed signs, like I just said, that he's going to get back to that. So hopefully he does. After that, I've gone for Granit Xhaka again. This one was mainly because of the kind of what it means for a player of that magnitude to sign for a newly promoted team. I think it's hopefully going to kind of shape the way that newly promoted teams attack the Premier League when they come up in future. And I think that I think for me that was just a transfer that could shape kind of hopefully like a new look, promoted approach when teams come up. And obviously, great player as well to play for a team like Sunderland when you're invincible, Champions League proven. Speaks for itself. And then last one, to be honest, I was really, really torn between a lot of players on there, but I have gone for Eberechi Eze, mainly because I think Arsenal have had an S tier window. I mean, obviously we did our transfer rankings the other day, and we put Arsenal S tier. And I think to have no Arsenal player would have been, kind of sacrilege to that video. And you will see in a minute that I can't have had another player because he might be on a different list. So Eze for me was the obvious choice for Arsenal.
Yeah, do you know what? I had Eze on my shortlist as well as Grealish for the reasons that you mentioned. I mean, Eze, they needed that type of player to cover for Odegaard, and he's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
So he was so close to my list. I just picked Gyökeres just purely because the need they had for a striker was probably greater, but I can see why you'd choose that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And well, I think from that point on, let's get into the worst signings of the transfer. This one might be more controversial, but in some ways, it was equally fun to pick. Let's say. So
I find it harder to pick these ones, but I think it was more fun.
It is hard to pick. That's why I think in a way it's kind of fun to see what you've come up with as well.
Yeah.
I want to see where we go with this, but I'll tell you what. Let me run through my 5. Apologies to anyone who's watching this that have a player represented from their club. It's hopefully they prove everyone wrong, but we've got to think about these things.
Just whittle them off.
Let's go. So I'm going in with Madueke. Although you know what, like I could easily see this one turning out for Arsenal, but I think especially as a Chelsea fan, I've seen him a hell of a lot last year. Flattered to deceive a hell of a lot. Like the guy has in big games seemed to have gone missing. His attitude, from what I understand, is not the most professional. Although I wouldn't criticize the guy in that respect too much, but I can just see that one easily. 52 million as well.
I think the price point really is the key outlier.
Yeah, if they'd have picked him up for like 25, 30 million, I think fair enough. Goes in as a bench player and you get what you get. But 52 million for Madueke, I think that just edged it for me.
Yeah.
This next one, Armando Broja for 20 million. I'm stunned that Burnley paid this money
Is
for this guy.
this another one based on price? Is it?
Not only the price, I mean, 20 million for Breuer's just unfathomably expensive. I think he was on loan at Everton and scored no goals in the entire loan spell.
So price then.
Yeah, no, but not only that.
You kind of said no, not price, and then
no, because
price.
I mean, price, fair enough, but the guy's got no goals. He's been injured a lot. For a newly promoted club,
I think clubs just see talent in him, though, don't they? Aside from obviously he gets injured a bit, but I think a lot of teams see that if they can keep him fit, then maybe he might be a different player. Kind of.
If this one comes off, then we'll look back on this video and well, we can have a laugh at me. But I can easily see myself being vindicated on this down the line in the season. Yeah. I just don't see a world where he stays fit and gets goals. I genuinely don't.
That's fair.
But hey, you never know. But anyways, I think the next one is probably the most obvious of the list for many. Sancho to Villa.
It's not even on my list.
So for this one, I just think the guy's had so many chances. I've heard stories recently, actually, from his time at Chelsea, where he just hasn't showed up for training. He had a day or two off and decided to fly to LA or something like that to see his girlfriend or whatever it might be. And it's just a whole approach to football is the most unprofessional I've heard from a Chelsea player in a while. So I can't see what he's going to deliver at Villa. I mean, even at Chelsea with good players around him, he I think got like 5 or 6 goals, nothing crazy. I just don't see him doing anything better than that. And I think Villa would have hoped and probably expected more, but I don't think they'll get those hopes come through. So yeah, for me, Sancho, I mean, hey, look, in a way, I kind of hope he proves me wrong because I quite like the guy. Really, is when he's on his best, he's a great player. But
yeah, it'd be great to have for England.
Exactly. And besides that, there's a bit of a strange one, but James Trafford for City in goal.
That's very interesting.
The reason I pick it, not because I don't think he's a good player, although 31 million, maybe that'll look steep, but it's not crazy for a keeper nowadays. The reason being, though, is because they obviously don't see him playing. Like, he's not going to outcompete Donnarumma in goal. Has not had the best start, although, keeper's a hard position, new team, all of that. But yeah, I just don't see the logic. They're paying 31 million for a guy who will no doubt be on the bench. I mean, and Pepe could prove us all wrong and put Donnarumma on there, but
he's in my team for the exact same reason. I can't see it. Almost feels like they signed him and then regretted signing him and then made up for the regret of signing him. So
it does have that feeling to it, which
he must feel like an idiot going to City, to be fair. But
mate, he could have gone to Newcastle and no doubt ended up their number one after a little period of time. So for his career, could be an absolute killer, to be honest. But hey, the new Joe Hart, I guess.
Yeah.
And finally, topping off the list, I went for Kun. I've done 4. Yeah, I've done 4 there. Sorry, yeah, I've got one more. So my final pick, would be Buonanotte. Chelsea just got him in on loan. Buonanotte, yeah. I've been watching an American guy, you can tell. Yeah, but I mean, the reason I picked him in is just purely because it's a straight loan, no obligation, no option. He's not going to get game time. He's been left out of our Champions League squad.
Yeah, which was interesting because he kind of, the thing he said when he signed was that he wanted to play in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then he didn't make the Champions League. Although I will say, the rules to get into the Champions League squad now, the squads, it's 22 player squad size, isn't it? So it's like, most teams will have 2 players in each position and they'll have fringe players, and the fringe players they're not going to get in at that point.
That's what makes it strange, because he's clearly viewed as a fringe player, probably only to get minutes in either the lesser cups or were provided with injuries.
Maybe you just felt like you needed
a cover.
Yeah, you probably feel like you need a player for the cups, like you said, or.
Yeah, but again,
you worried about injuries or something like that.
Strange. I mean, even if there was an option in there, for example, should he do well, we can buy him.
Yeah.
I just don't think it makes the most sense in the world, I'll be honest. So yeah, a bit of a weird one. I almost picked West Ham signing Todibo for 35 million, even though I know he was there.
I did think about him, to be honest with you.
I thought that is crazy. The guy looks.
But I think it was unfair on him because he did play well in France.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, start of the season, and you can't judge them all on that. But yeah, so for me, it was just the case of Buonanotte. So
Yeah.
that's my 5 worst: Madueke, Breuer, Buonanotte, Sancho,
Mine's a
and
little bit more
Trafford.
controversial, I'll be completely honest. So I've put Victor Gyökeres in my top 5 worst signings.
That's crazy.
Um,
We've got a divergence of
I've
opinion
actually
there.
started nicknaming him Victor Botterez because he's a bit robotic.
He's a big
He's
dude.
all right. He runs like a rhino, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't see it working. I really don't. Just watching him play against. He's played against obviously United. Was it Leeds, and then obviously Liverpool last weekend. And I think obviously against United didn't have a good game. He played against Leeds. Obviously he scored a goal and a penalty. The goal was pretty good, to be fair, coming in from the left, and then the penalty is the penalty. And then Liverpool, he had a really bad game as well, and it kind of just highlights the key thing that everyone took from his time in Portugal, which was that he can score against the bottom half teams and he can't score against the top half teams. And I think that's going to carry on into the Premier League, probably with maybe even a lower floor on that, because obviously Leeds we expect to be in the relegation zone. And the Premier League's tougher than the Portuguese league, so I really do think he's going to struggle in the Premier League. I don't think he's the striker he should have, that Arsenal should have signed, and that's obviously why he's in there.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, very interesting.
Then
Okay.
I've gone for. I'll get the 2 out of the way that were in your list. I also had Madueke and Trafford for the exact same reasons.
Okay.
Amari Hutchinson from
I
Nottingham
was
Forest.
so close to doing this as
The
well.
reason being for this
close.
one is quite literally just because the price tag was absolutely mad. He did nothing in the Premier League last year. I think he got off to. He maybe had a couple of good games at the very start of the league. I remember the
Ipswich last year, right? I believe.
Yeah, Ipswich. Yeah, I remember the Ipswich Liverpool game well from the first game of the season, and he did have a half decent game, but that's, I think, pretty much the ceiling that he had for the rest of the season. To be honest, I just think 37 million for that kind of player. He obviously he didn't make their Champions League squad from their Europa League squad, from what I've read as well. So that's kind of says a lot about the price tag in itself and the player.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And then the last one I've put down is Jamie Gittins.
Oh, I did think about this. I'll be honest.
Reason being is, I mean, obviously they bought him in for big money. It's what, 55 million or something like that. They bought him in for
About 51, 52.
52 million. Yeah. For me, it just feels like they've already replaced him. Similar to the Trafford situation, you would expect for a player of that kind of money that they'd be the kind of the starter in the team in their position. £50 million upwards, I would say they're probably starter material most of the time. Maybe not all the time. But most of the
this
time.
is interesting. Though you'd think that, but it seems to not be the case anymore. I mean, I think we're always going to buy two wingers anyway for the left. But I take your point. I think in previous years, that kind of outlay you would expect a start. But
like I said, for me, I would expect him to be the starter coming in around that price point. And then obviously you've went and bought Garnacho, just a few weeks later in the window. It feels a bit weird to me, I'll be honest with you. Maybe it's going to be a case that they both get about 50% of the game time. But also, I mean, Gittins didn't even start off the left against Pedro Neto. So it very much feels to me like he's just been pushed further down and you've only just bought him.
I think we were paying for potential. And
yeah, potentially.
Just hoping that he would come good on it, basically. I don't think we ever had him in mind as a pure starter, but yeah, I think.
But even if, I mean, his minutes are going to be, if you're playing Pedro Neto over him already, you bought Garnacho and he's going to play that position probably when he comes in. So there's your starter and your backup there. So that means his third choice for 50 million. That's to me seems a bit of a steep gamble.
I hear that. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think even a few years ago that would have been outrageous.
Yeah.
I think now you've seen it with Madueke, with even Eze probably might not necessarily start. I don't know if Liverpool have done this actually. I don't know if you can remember any signings you've made that. I mean, Ekitike could be that guy.
I mean, we've made signings in the past of high value that didn't work out. Notably,
Wissa for Newcastle might not get a start. Like I think
Wissa will start.
Where though? I mean,
I think they'll play two. But anyway, that's off topic. Let's move on. We have also just quickly we've made a rip off of the window. So who we think was the biggest rip off, and who we think was the biggest bargain of the window. So I'm going to give you mine because you started
give
with
me
the.
give me a rip off first, and then we'll cycle over to the bargain. But yeah, I'm interested to see who you think was the most overpaid for player in the whole transfer window.
To me, I really didn't want to include someone that was in my worst players, but I think Madueke is just for me. It's kind of the obvious choice, but I don't think he's going to do well. I kind of hope I'm wrong because again he's English and we kind of need players like that.
He played today. Actually, we're recording this just after not just after, but on the day of the Andorra game, England Andorra, and he did play and got assisted. Okay, but again, 52 mil, and I've seen what he's like in big games and consistently, and he's not a 52 million pound player to me. I was buzzing when we got rid of him. I'll be honest, as a Chelsea fan, I couldn't believe Arsenal paid that money for him. So it does fit in with
Jamie Gittins.
Well, no, because he was a right winger. So we replaced him with Esteval.
You've used the money to buy Jamie Gittins, is what I mean.
Yeah, but he's got a younger age with potentially high ceiling. So
anyway, who's your rip-off?
So my rip-off would be, and I did actually almost consider Gittins myself. He was second, I'll be honest. But my biggest rip-off, I've gone for Wissa.
See,
55 mil.
I'll be honest, I really did think about Wissa. The reason I didn't put Wissa in my rip-off here, or even in my... because I thought about him for my worst signings, again, just for the price. But you have to remember that the price kind of... They had no choice but to put... like if they'd had any other choice, it's a bit different. They really didn't have a choice. Isak needed to get out.
I understand that. Yeah, I get it.
Brentford obviously going to use that against them.
Brentford to overpay 100%. But I think he had a year left on his contract. He's 29.
Oh, no, value-wise, it's bad value. But you have to kind of consider the context for me, in my opinion.
I understood the reasons that they've gone out and done it. Fair enough, and he might turn out to be still a good buy. But I think in terms of if we're doing rip-off and who's been overpaid for the most, he's probably worth in the region of 25 to 30 mil. So they've overpaid by nearly double.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Newcastle valued him at that. That's why they kind of refused to pay the price for a while 100%. Until they realised that they literally had no choice. But
so what they've done is they've got a British record transfer fee and then overspent on two players. They've probably really they could have took 100 million.
I don't think they've overspent on Voldemort, but
70 million.
I don't think they've overspent on Voldemort.
That's a hell of a lot of money. But fair enough. That's a conversation for another day. But nonetheless. Interesting. I was close with Gittins myself. Do you not think? I mean, would you agree with Vissa at all before we move on to the bargain?
Like I said, I almost had Vissa.
Okay,
I actually have. I'll tell you my list here. Did I make a list for this one? I don't know if I did actually.
You have made a list for your bargain, though. Tell me your bargain.
Yeah. So my bargain. I made a very short list for this one, by the way. I'll tell you my short list and I'll tell you who I picked. Norgod was on there, Truffert was on there, Ryan Cherky was on there, and I've gone for Mosquera at Arsenal.
Yeah, do you know what? He was relatively cheap and he came on in...
I think it was 14 million and he had a really, really solid game against Liverpool.
He had a very solid game. Yeah. No, I fully agree. I mean, tough to come in as a centre-back, especially in a high-stake game like that. I think he didn't put a foot wrong. Fair play to the guy. Yeah, I couldn't disagree with that, to be honest. I really couldn't. For me, I had a shortlist with Esteval in there, 29.5 million for honestly a genuine wonder kid.
To be fair, I didn't give him much. He was almost in my top 5 signings, by the way. He was on my shortlist for that. I didn't give him much thought for any other topic just because...
Bargain, though. I think it's 29.5. We've talked about Madueke going 52.
Yeah,
I think
but it feels like it's almost like it was made last summer. I mean, it obviously counts towards this summer, but it was kind of still last summer's.
Fair point. That's fair enough. It's why I probably went in the end. My absolute Cersei pick for this, Jack Grealish.
It was a loan. That doesn't count. You can't use a loan.
Yes, of course you can.
You can't. No, you're not having a loan. Pick someone else. You're not having a loan.
Why can't you have a loan? It was a deal.
But it's not. It's not a bargain, is it? It's a loan deal.
Mate, they've got him
A
without
bargain
paying
is when you
any.
pay for someone like really cheap, and do you know what I mean? It's not a bargain as a loan. He goes back next season.
All right, okay. How about this? How do you like these apples? Harvey Elliott, obligation to buy, 35 million.
I'll give you that one because it's an obligation. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think, to be fair, that is for the guy who was the standout player in the England under-21 campaign, where they've won it 2 times in a row. I think you were expecting as a Liverpool fan to pull in at least 50 odd million with maybe add-ons. Because to be fair, he's a genuine talent and a very good one at that.
Yeah,
So
I'm
to get him in on loan with a 35 mil ob, I think that could prove to be very good. I think it's Villa's really only very good deal of the window. So
yeah. Speaking of Villa,
I mean,
Lindelof was on my list of worst transfers, just as a side note.
yeah, same. I was going to put him for the overpaid.
Yeah, but what was it? It wasn't a loan as well, or
Free transfer.
Free transfer, yeah.
Nah, but
you're paying his wages, so you're overpaying. Oh, dear.
But I think that's a good list. To be fair, I mean, Esteban probably would have been in there, but like I say, maybe.
Yeah, like I said, I think it just counts more as last summer, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then that's like saying you can't include Mamadashvili for Liverpool.
I wouldn't.
No, but he's been concluded this year.
Yeah, no, I know that. I'm just saying he was signed technically last year, so even though it technically is a summer transfer this year, it feels a bit different. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have said you couldn't have Esteval, but for me, I think.
Okay. But anyways, fine. Well, like I say, Harvey Elliott, I think is a great one. I almost went with Hincapie as well, to be totally fair, but
that's definitely not a bargain.
No, I don't know what the overall obligation price was, and I
think I've won that one, to be honest. I think Mosquera's the choice there.
You don't think Elliott? I'm surprised as a Liverpool fan, you don't think they've got a great deal on Elliott.
Mosquera's 14 million, bro.
To be fair, you know what?
Unbelievable deal.
If we could have included Esteban, I think that would have been naughty because the guy is going to be a potential £100 million player.
Yeah, potentially.
Mate, the guy's he scored a goal for Brazil the other day. He's already hit the ground running at Chelsea. He's 19, 18. He looks absolutely insane. Even you've said that now. Finally, seen the guy.
Our total talk time on this channel so far for Esteval is about a video lengths long.
Mate, honestly, it's one of those.
Maybe we'll make a dedicated video for everyone watching if they're interested in that.
I can see it. I can see it. But you know what? I don't even mind. It is what it is. But okay, with that one, I think, to be fair, that concludes our list. I'm sure there'll be some, people that have got different opinions. Quite easy.
We'll probably miss some obvious ones.
Comment some names. We want to know where we went wrong, or just agree with all of my picks, and we'll go home. But yeah, other than that. Thank you if you made it this far, as always. Jamie's voice can be quite baritone, so apologies for that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Nah. But again, thank you from me and Jamie. Anything you want to
add? No, other than stay safe out there.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Ciao. See you on the next one.